Alright, so today we're going to be looking at graphite drawing pencils. This is a set that I've got. It has, I think, 10 different pencils in it. One thing that is really nice is you can kind of see on the back of this particular set, it shows all of the different degrees and shades. Now, just because it's showing that 8B is really dark, we're going to look at how that doesn't necessarily mean that you can only use the 8B when it is really dark. So in the kit, it'll probably, or this kit came with an eraser and a pencil sharpener, and I have a blending stump that I have in there, and we'll look at how to use that in a minute. Now on each pencil, they're not going to have erasers. And if you haven't found any yet, when me and my wife went to Target over the weekend, they had some up front for like $3. So I know I told y'all that these aren't especially expensive, but that's just kind of what I saw while I was out this weekend. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at how to shade kind of the difference in particularly in H. So I'm going to pull out the 4H and a 6B, or I got an 8B. So I'll be using the 8B too. Now, what I want you guys to be working with today as you're working with these value scales is kind of getting used to them. So if you want to use, kind of see how a 4H compares to a 3H on that value scale, that's fine. I'm just going to kind of be showing you how the H pencils behave versus how the B pencils behave. So I am going to zoom in. So H, like we've talked about, it has a harder lead. You're almost really never going to see this 7H to 9H. That's sort of like a leprechaun or a unicorn. They just don't exist. 4H to 6H, this is very hard. And what that means that is if you are using this pencil, you can get a really nice fine line out of it. And if you put a lot of pressure on it, you can get a pretty dark value of it. It's not just that it's light, but you do have to kind of work to get this dark value out of it. Now, it looks pretty dark until we kind of look at what the B pencils can do. But part of kind of getting used to the way these different pencils work is seeing what works best for you. So here, you can see on this one, to get it as dark as possible. And with the value scale, we want to get them consistent. So you can see that I'm spending a lot of time trying to keep all of this consistent, keep all my marks going the same direction. For a really dark value, you want to try to hold your pencil as close to the lead as possible. It just puts more pressure on it. And then if you go up a little bit, you're not going to be putting quite as much pressure on your lead, and it's going to help you get those lighter values. Now, you can kind of stair step your way all the way up the pencil, and I'll show you guys what that looks like, and that will help with your values. Now, the other thing to kind of be aware of is you can, without adjusting your pressure, kind of like what I'm doing right now, I'm not putting any additional pressure on it. If you layer more and more graphite on it, it will get darker, and that's going to be really a good tool for when we start talking about the gradients, but that we're a little ways away from that. Now on this, you can see this lead is getting to where the wood casing of the pencil is just about even with the lead, so I'm going to sharpen it real quick because you want to make sure that you keep these pencils sharpened so that they stay as easy to use as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and stair step up a little bit more You can see that's putting less pressure, so I'm getting another lighter value. And we're only doing 5 shades here, so the main thing you want to do is kind of get used to trying to make these value jumps, where this one is quite a bit darker, or this one is lighter than the darker one, this one is obviously lighter, and so on. And then this one's going to be even lighter. So at this point, whenever you're getting to a really light value, you're almost just kind of like grazing the page, not putting like hardly any pressure down. And at this point, I'm just going to leave this one white. So you can see that even though it shows a 4H is very hard lead, which it is, you can still get a full range of value out of that. Now, when we switch over to the B, and these are my favorite because I really like strong contrast, dark areas. It takes hardly any effort to get this super dark value. The lead's even bigger so that you can get more of that value down on your page at once, and it is just super dark. Now, you can do the same thing here, where you stair step up, and look, when you're not putting all that pressure on it, you're getting a pretty nice medium value on this. Now, if you're ever having trouble, and you probably won't after this sheet because we'll be working in your sketchbook, but if you see this texture right here, if you have padding underneath it, which means if you're drawing in your sketchbook and there's paper underneath it, that texture sort of goes away. But we're going to look at another way to take care of that too if you don't want that sort of texture. It's just sort of pulling up the texture from the table. Now, I'm going to stair step up and get even lighter, and kind of keep doing the same. And then I'm going to get to where I'm holding the pencil just at the edge to get this last really light value. So as you are using the shading pencils, you can see that you can still get a full range out of a B pencil. You can still get a full range of values out of an H pencil. And I really want you guys to play around with these and kind of see what you're most comfortable with. You know, it may be that you like to draw using a 3B to 4B with your shading, and then you might go back in and kind of punch up your values with an 8B. You might not want to just go straight to drawing with an 8B or straight to shading with an 8B. That's something that I've kind of gotten used to over the years. So, you know, if I was going to draw, I might just use one 8B. But I want you guys to see the full range that you guys have using the drawing pencils. Now, that's not to say that you can't do this with just a regular pencil. We'll check out that school spirit. So I'm going to do that next to here, just to kind of show you. So the H pencils, they do behave pretty similar to just a regular number 2 pencil. There is a little bit of variety to them. This one's actually really close to it. It is a tad lighter. But you can do all this with the regular pencil. You're just not really going to be able to hit these really dark values. And then can do the same thing. You know, you can get a nice range of values from a regular pencil if you don't have drawing pencils. But this is kind of where the drawing pencils really shine, is getting these really dark values. And as we work on our projects through the week, we'll look at kind of adding these values in, not going overboard with it, but really taking advantage of the fact that we can achieve this full range of values using drawing pencils. Then there is this other tool called a blending stump or a tortillon. Um, Now, if you've done shading in the past, it's really possible that you've used your finger to kind of rub it in and kind of try to smooth it out. Don't do that. The oils from your finger will mess up your paper. It can mess up your lead, but you can use a paper towel, or if you get some blending stumps, or if your kit came with some, they will smooth out your work. Kind of that same way that if you just did it with your finger. But in these, I think you can get like 12 of these for like $2. They're very inexpensive. Um, the other nice thing about these is if you're going in and shading and you get some of the graphite on here, you can use that to get some really nice light values too. So this week we're really going to be working with practicing with the pencils and trying to spot these different values as we're drawing. So and we'll really look at that with our photo editing and getting photos ready to transfer over, where we're trying to see where our dark areas are, where our medium values are, and where our light values are, because that'll help you keep your drawings look more three-dimensional and more realistic.